You may not be able to see the words very well, but that's fine. The key thing is take a look at these pictures by Wayne Jihan. He does an excellent job with these illustrations. It's literally on the camera look like it's popping out. So like I said, you don't have to use your imagination because he uses all these different colors to show us. So let's go ahead and get into our book tonight. And here we go. A math adventure, Circumference and the Roundabout Battle. And what we're talking about, rounding numbers. So here it is. Hopefully I'm not messing her name. I got to look her name up and hopefully give her a call. Cindy Nushwenwander. Illustrated by Wayne Jihan. So, like I said, this is still talking about the Knights of the Round Table. So this is a awesome book. And talking about last week, we had a birthday for King Arthur. It was using place value, counting and talking about all the different people. So here we go right here. Here's our first picture, and here we go. Another great harvest day. But wait, who's that? As Edmund rounds. The castle steward. He pointed to a few small tents just visible among the trees. It's probably travelers bedding down for the night, answered Circumference. Just then, the steward's son bounded up the stairway. Ah! Rounds, too. Keeping track of everything in the castle, asked Circumference with a smile. The boy nodded. Everyone called him Rounds, too, since he and his father were both named Edmund. Papa, I've finished the count you asked for, he said, handing his father 2 scrolls. As the castle's next steward, Rounds 2 was his father's assistant. Wonderful, exclaimed Steward Rounds. Let's look these over during supper. Rounds 1 and Rounds 2. They should have just said senior and junior, but I guess this is her book. Steward Rounds studied his son's counts. He muttered. Breads, 34 wheat loaves, 29 barley, and 25 rye. But the total is missing. Totals are important. I love counting, but adding up is always hard for me, Rounds 2 confessed. Let me help you, his father said kindly. It's 34 plus 29 plus 25, which equals 88 loaves. And butter. 10 garlic pops. 100 pops. Rounds 2 called out quickly. It's easy when the numbers are groups of 10, he said. Yes, the steward agreed. Adding by tens is quite friendly, but most counts are more complicated. As stewards, it's our job to know how much of everything we have in the castle so we won't run out. For example, there are travelers in our woods tonight who might need breakfast tomorrow. But let's get back to our numbers. Next, the steward said, are the bees and their little homes the skeps. There are 39 skeps and housed about 1,000 bees. But he said not to touch the skeps. The bees get angry. Ah, bees are difficult to count. Steward Rounds nodded. Sometimes knowing approximately how many is fine. But let's finish this up tomorrow, he added, noticing his son stifling a yawn. Flit off to bed now. Honey, sweet dreams. Okay, so they decided to take a break. Guess they're going to play with the bees on tomorrow. As he nodded off, Rounds 2 decided that he would thank his father for his help by rising early to count the travelers. Then they would know how much food might be needed. Just before dawn, he slipped out of his bed, tiptoed through the kitchen, and crept out a secret door in the castle wall. As he entered the woods, he heard deep snoring. Everyone was asleep. He counted 40 men by an old log. Another 50 were near a campfire. A group of 60 was stretched out under a massive oak tree. That's 150 men, thought Rounds 2. Why so many? Then he noticed a large banner with a distinctive insignia. He also noticed the tiny tents were full of bows and arrows. Uh-oh, he thought. He sprinted back to the castle. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what he's talking about. He saw those weapons. He's running back to the castle. I wonder what he's going to tell his papa. Papa! He gasped, shaking his father's shoulders urgently. The travelers in the woods, they have banners of 2 hands clutching a chest of treasure. Isn't that? Stuart Rounds sat straight up, rubbing the sleep out of his eyes. He asked Rounds 2 to repeat himself. Then he leapt out of bed and grabbed his son's hand. Uh-oh. It sounds like there's some trouble somewhere. Interesting. Stuart Rounds raced through the castle, making his way to Cumference and Lady Di's bedchamber. The travelers in the woods, there, Sir Oncelot's crew. Stuart Rounds cried out. Cumference was up in a flash. Prepare to protect the castle, he ordered. Rounds 2, fetch the bow and arrow counts while your father and I organize the archers. Uh-oh. It sounds like they're preparing for battle. So I guess this guy that just came into town must be some sort of an enemy of something. I'm curious now. Rounds 2 raced to the steward's room and grabbed the counting scrolls. But then he stopped. The totals, although Rounds 2 had made the weapons count, he had not added them up. He always forgetting to add stuff up, isn't he? Rounds 2 rushed to the artillerator's room, seeking his father's help. But everyone had already left. He decided he must do the adding. He thought back to the counts of the day. Why can't the numbers of bows and arrows be friendly tens like the butter, or approximate the numbers like the bees, instead of hard to add numbers like the loaves? Rounds 2 closed his eyes and tried to think. Okay, he's using that mental math. When he opened them, he saw a measuring tape curled in among the arrowheads, feathers, and the string. It was lined with numbers, beginning at 0 and ending at 100. Okay. Rounds 2 grabbed the measuring tape and started using it to change yesterday's counts of the loaves of bread into nearest friendly tens. Would the approximate number be close to the actual total, he thought. He took an arrowhead and placed it on 34 to mark the wheat bread. He could see that the arrowhead was nearest to the friendly number 30. He then moved the arrowhead to 29, the number of barley loaves. It was also nearest to 30. Finally, he located 25 for the rye bread. That was a problem. It's smack in the middle between the friendly 20 and the friendly 30. He thought. Well, the top line of the number 5 seems to point towards the next 10, so I'll make it bigger. 30 it is. Okay, I got it. That thing here, that's a number line. A tape with number line. Okay, I see what he's doing. Rounds 2 easily added 30 plus 30 plus 30. That's 90, and it's very close to the 88 bread loaves that Papa added up yesterday at supper, he noted happily. Okay. Rounds 2 decided to add the archery counts in this fast, new, and nearly accurate way. He looked at his list. Longbows, 47. That's approximately 50, he thought. Crossbows, 1 dozen. That's 12. So I'll make it a friendly 10. Short bows, 36, or about 40. So 50 plus 10 plus 40 is 100 bows. Okay, that was quick and fast. Now, for the arrows, he murmured. There are 77 large bodkins. That's about 80. The 23 medium ones would be approximately 20, and 98 small ones. The closest friendly 10 to 98 is 100. So 80 plus 20 plus 100 is 200 arrows. He was done very quickly. He looked at his list with satisfaction before sprinting to the main guard tower. Okay. He learned something new. So he can add those numbers quickly by rounding. Okay. Uh-oh. Look like somebody's fighting. Let's see what they're talking about here. They attacked, announced Cumference grimly. Here, said Rounds 2, breathlessly, handing the list to his father, who passed it to Cumference. Cumference and Stewart Rounds steadied the scroll. We don't have very many arrows, said the knight. A worried look was on his face. Sir What's-a-lot and his men took aim. Thoot, thoot, thoot. Slender shafts streaked overhead. When you go twit, 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 that's an onomatopoeia. That's an English term. Twit, twit, twit. Or that sound, the arrow goes in the air. A castle guard peered through an arrow slit. They're busy as bees down there, he yelled. Busy as bees. Thought Round 2. This gave him an idea. He rushed to the rampart, shook the skeps, and pushed him over the edge of the wall. Oh no. Uh-oh. Bees go berserk, he commanded. As each of the 39 skeps crashed to the ground, 1,000 bees, more or less, angrily swarmed out and stung the invaders. Sir What's-a-Lot and his men sprinted away, never ever to return. Interesting. That was a lot of bees, exclaimed Circumference. Close to 40,000, said Rounds 2 helpfully. Huzz! Hooray! Hip hip hooray! Shouted everyone in the castle. Hooray! Huzzah! Hip hip hooray! For Rounds 2. Buzz is more like it, cried Circumference with a very hearty laugh. Rounds 2 continued to use his method of finding friendly tens when he was adding up the daily castle counts. He discovered that taking exact numbers and making them a little less exact gave him time to count and total more each day. As a result, he and his father ran the castle more efficiently. The steward named it the Rounds 2 method. Today, we still use Rounds 2's idea. When we speak of a number and its closest round approximation, we say it's rounds to that friendly number. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting story right there. This was my first time actually reading this story, and I like this one right here. This was called A Math Adventure, Circumference, and the Roundabout Battle. Once again, the author is Cindy Neuschwander, illustrated by Wayne Jehan. And this was a book that was on rounding of numbers.